because they're foundation people. And as we say, blues is the roots. Everything else, all contemporary commercial American music is the fruit of the blues. It's the story.
So you're saying everything is created from the blues?
Every contemporary commercial American music is from the blues. Now, we'll talk about Africa being one of...
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of MyattJazz. I'm your host, Renee Myatt, and today my guest is the incomparable Antoinette Montague. Antoinette Montague is a jazz vocalist. Now, today you're going to hear about her life story and why she gave up a lucrative position in corporate America to go and sing. You're going to find out who inspired her, who mentored her, and who the elders were around her that got her into this business. So as you listen to today's episode, just sit back, relax, and we're going to delve into the life and music of Antoinette Montague. Welcome, Antoinette.
Renee, it is an honor and a privilege to be here with you. We go back quite some time.
Yes.
Watching the journeys of these things unfold, and now you've got a great platform to encourage listeners to understand that we love and celebrate our culture and that it's bigger than us, and we want to continue to keep the flame burning.
Oh, well, that's very nice of you to say. And you know how the flame keeps burning? When we have folks like you on.
Thank you.
Because we get to spread the word to jazz lovers and people maybe who are not jazz lovers but trying to get to know jazz.
Absolutely.
And what it takes to be a jazz musician. So before we get into like the meat of who you are and what you're doing today, let's go back some years.
Yeah.
So you grew up in Newark, New Jersey.
As I call it, the great city of Newark,
Now,
New Jersey.
you call it the great city of Newark for a reason.
Absolutely. It is the bounce back capital of this country. We have gone through so much, and we still continue to strive. And as far as jazz is concerned, this is where Wayne Shorter was born, Sarah Vaughan. We've got a list of great, iconic jazz clubs, that the Key Club, and so many places and spaces where we continue to flourish this music. Newark was called Swing City.
Was it?
Absolutely. Most of the big bands, before they would go over to New York, they'd stop and rehearse in Newark. That was Duke Ellington, the Basie Band, etc. And so it's an amazing, iconic place. And even today, with New Jersey PAC at the helm of the James Moody Jazz Festival, it's still one of the big, iconic places that gets marginalized by people. But you won't do that around me, not even a bit.
I see. I see. So when you grew up in Newark, did you come from a musical family? I mean, did folks in the family, were they musicians? Or?
They're just lovers of music, but my mother was one of the first classes admitted into Arts High School in Newark. She was an amazing singer who was a combination of Ella Fitzgerald and Mahalia Jackson.
Wow.
Can you imagine if those two people had DNA and created a singer? That was my mother.
Interesting.
Just an incredible, beautiful, iconic singer who got pregnant early. You know, her mother died when she was 7.
Okay.
During childbirth. And they shipped the kids around, etc. And when she was a young girl, she met my dad and got pregnant, but she really craved her own family. Okay. And inside of that craving of her own family was her belief that you read the Bible to the baby, you sing to the baby, you talk to the baby. She would tell all the young mothers to do that. But the one thing that I enjoyed most, being the last of 8 children.
8
children. 8.
Wow.
The last of 8. I was at the last of the Mohegans, as she would say. Was sitting on the kitchen floor in the morning and listening to her prepare meals, cook, clean, etc. And she would just bust out and sing, and the tenants on our first floor would be listening, you know. And they say, "Man, your mother was singing this morning." I said,
Wow. So did she sound like Ella Fitzgerald?
Better than. Like a combination of Ella with Mahalia.
Wow.
With some soul and some gospel, but like neither one of them, like just herself. But if I had to describe what it would be like, it's unimaginable for those who'd never heard her, but very imaginable. When I ask my sisters every so often after a concert, if they happen to be there, I say, "Could mommy sing?" They'd be like, you know your mother can sing when your siblings go like, absolutely, versus,
Right.
She was amazing. And come to find out, when my dad had Alzheimer's in a nursing home, I realized, she said they used to go on dates and sit in the car and sing while the rain was falling on the metal roof of the car. And so in his state of dementia, he worked too hard. So he would almost imagine that he was still mopping and shining floors, but he would be singing, "He's sweet, I know." And the whole place would be on Sunday mornings. They'd go get Mr. Montague and bring him and let him start the church service in the nursing home that he was in. So that music, most of the time we don't necessarily know about some of our great artists. Can't know about everybody.
Okay.
But it doesn't mean that greatness isn't in so many of us. It's not always trying to figure out how to do an ad or have people show up. But if music is in our DNA as it is as a culture of Black people, then it thrives and it helps to soothe the souls of those who are around us.
So then if it's in the DNA, then it's got to be cultivated, I would imagine, right?
Not always.
Really?
Not always, because it's in the air. There's music majoris that's all around us. Sometimes you're driving around and a song will pop into your head and you go like, why is that song? I can't get this song out of my head. So music minoris is what comes out of us as we're making it, and then it's science. It hits the airwaves, and it travels.
Now, for those who don't know what minoris is, tell us.
Minoris, the minor part of who we are as we make music and create music, and it comes out of our bodies, out of our instruments. But then once it hits the air, it's major, baby. It's all over.
Let me ask you this. So was your father, was he a musician, or he, like your mother, just enjoyed singing around the house or wherever?
My father was he came from a family of enslaved people. He was born in 1912 in Zebulon, North Carolina, of 15 children. And slavery did not end when we think it did, as we find out more and more. And so he worked the fields, and so he was not a musician. My mother was more of a musician, attending arts high school, being a part of choirs. My brother-in-law said, we went to a church anniversary of a choir, and there was, here's the choir coming in, and everybody's holding candles. He said, and this amazing voice filled the church up, and he was like, dang, what's that? He said, and I looked back, and it was Mama coming down the aisle with the candle in her hand, and just, we're marching up to that beautiful city of God, just
that's your mother.
It. That's my mother, absolutely. Right. He said, I never looked at Mama the same. I felt like, why is she in the kitchen cooking for us when she should be out there performing for the world? But, that's many a story. Many a story.
So if it's in our DNA, and obviously it's in your DNA,
absolutely.
Then I read somewhere that your father would take you and drop you off to the Newark Public Library on his way to work.
Absolutely. On Saturday mornings he worked, and that was my haunt. I would go and listen to the recordings of Duke Ellington. I loved looking at those old photos of Duke because he was fine. I thought my dad looked like Duke Ellington a little bit, but and then I got a chance to really immerse myself inside of the music of Louis Armstrong. And then that movie Lady Sings the Blues came out. Diana Ross was Billie Holiday.
Right.
And I must have watched that ad nauseum. So the librarian said, well, have you heard the real Billie Holiday? And I said, no. So she gave me a recording. And you put your headset on and you keep putting the needle back, put the needle back. So after I got finished listening to the whole recording, she said, well, how'd you like it? And I said, I don't know. I just feel sad. It feels like she's crying. She said, and that's the elements of the blues, because she's telling a story, but she had a lot of sadness in her life. And so you can hear that coming through her story and her vocal cords. And so it took some training of the ear. And then once you realize, wow, it's not just the singing, it's the phrasing. It's the twisting and turning of the notes that hadn't been done by other people. That's why we will always celebrate Billie Holiday as one of our greatest icons, because, after our pop singers are the flash in the pan for 10, 20, 30 years, there's hundreds of years that we will be looking back and referring to the great Billie Holiday, who loved Louis Armstrong. They got the phrasing from him. So, so you listen to those people because they're foundation people. And as we say, blues is the roots. Everything else, all contemporary commercial American music is the fruit of the blues. It's the story.
So you're saying everything is created from the blues?
Everything, every contemporary commercial American music is from the blues. Now, we'll talk about Africa being one of the places that invented European classical music because, it wasn't stealing just gold and diamonds. They stole culture.
Yes.
And culture is still rich. Culture still makes money, as we can see.
Right, right. So you have... you go into Newark Public Library, you're listening to jazz
Listening
records,
to the standards, absolutely.
listening to the standards. Are you incorporating that in your world at that point?
I was incorporating Diana Ross, the Jackson 5, Motown, that sound. But I fell in love with Louis Armstrong whenever he'd be on television.
Why,
Ed Sullivan
why Louis
show.
Armstrong?
Because there's just something magical about him for children, even
Really?
to this day.
Like what?
The way he has the worst voice on the planet Earth, sound like he swallowed rocks, but he says it in such a way that is humorous, his storytelling, but his theatrical ability to create joy.
Okay.
And that's what we need in the world. This is why I believe that this show is important that you're doing, because right now, with everything that's going on in the country, everything that's going on in the world, we need to give people the elements of what help to give us some salvation and some joy and some lift and encouragement.
Okay. So were you pursuing joy as you ventured into this musical world?
I wasn't even pursuing it. I was joy. I was giving it.
You were given joy.
Joy.
What do you mean?
Giving joy to my audiences, giving joy to my sisters' friends that would come over and entertain them.
Well, you put on shows at the house or something?
Yeah, I put on shows all the time.
Really?
In the hallway for the kids in the neighborhood, 5 cents, 2 cookies, and a glass of Kool-Aid, It was just fun, and we enjoyed it. Every so often, kids from my neighborhood show up to an event that I'm doing now, and tell my kids I know you. Remember you used to do those shows back in the yard? And, yeah, absolutely. So just to understand and connect with the joy you have inside of you.
Okay.
That we know that there's sadness. Yeah. We know that there's sadness. If you can make somebody smile or be happy, then that's a life worth living. Your living hasn't been in vain. Okay. So I'm grateful that on more than the platform of the backyard, I was able to get out of the bathroom with the hairbrush practicing, ooh, baby love,
right.
We get a chance to thrill audiences if they're thrilled. Listen, we're grateful when people like us for whatever reason they like us, and sometimes they may not, but that's not my concern because I know I'm not in the world for everybody. Everybody's not going to like your mother liked you. And sometimes, as they say, she might be jiving. So that's that.
How about that? So now, how was high school for you?
High school was, just interesting. I went to an all-girls vocational school. My mother said, I'm not going to live long. So you need to go and figure out how you're going to feed yourself. You need to learn to type, take dictation, and get a job. And I just thought all of those were bad ideas, but I had to go because I was in the house. You're not going to the regular public school. You will not go to Barringer or any of these schools because we're not going to deal with what could happen. So I attended Essex County Girls Vocational High School and got involved with a technical secretarial track. And by my junior year, I was actually working at Prudential part-time and making, $150 a week for a kid to be making $150 a week. Yes. Plus they gave you free lunch when you got to the company. And, so high school was cool, but it was, my mother was a Jehovah's Witness. So the choir, I could only join part-time because If they were singing Christmas music,
Right.
that was out. If they were singing some other kinds of things. But for the most part, I was in the choir, and we would do a tribute to Salute to Disney.
Okay.
And so, man, I had such bad stage fright. Even when I talk about stage fright, my knees would be knocking so much until my little gowns would just be fluttering, and the kids would be laughing. But I'm proud of myself for being the hero in my own story of breaking through that stage fright. And I learned to study about what stage fright is. And that's when you're overly concerned about what somebody else is thinking about what you're doing,
Right.
instead of being immensely involved in the doing.
Well, you're in great company when it comes to stage fright, as you know. Barbara Streisand.
Wow.
Actually, Lionel Richie. I just listened to an interview with him on Joe Rogan. He wrote a book that actually came out called Truly.
Wow.
And Lionel Richie talks about his stage fright.
Wow.
And overcoming that. So you
and Ella too. She was like, sometimes they would almost guide her out to the microphone. I am grateful to have the breath of life, to be able to tell a story, to tell it in my own way. I had some of the most iconic women that I looked up to and spent time with to learn this business. One, Carrie Smith, the legendary black and blue Carrie Smith.
Oh yeah, we're going to talk about them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's jump in ahead.
Wait.
So
Okay.
so let's stay back a little bit because one, I'm curious. So you say your mother was a Jehovah's Witness,
Right.
Now is that inconsistent with you trying to get into the
To anything fun.
Yeah.
It's like, and they had fun things, little
Right.
gatherings, et cetera, et
How do
cetera.
you handle that though?
You just
Because you're a teenager, I would imagine. You're in high school, right?
High school. The beautiful thing about my mother, because I was curious about different religions,
Okay.
and so I said, Mommy, this teacher's getting married. She wants me to come to the Jewish temple to the wedding. And she'd be like, well, do you know what they study? Do you know what that's about? And so I started studying what that was about. A friend of mine who was Catholic invited me to do something with their church. And she said, you know what that's about? Well, you better know what you're walking into. Go find out. And so she really allowed me to explore religions, go to a Muslim masjid, and so some of the folks came and talked to her about, why is she going here and we're hearing that she's doing it. She said, listen, that's the last of the Mohicans. That's my last child. I have fought with my other children about this.
Okay.
This one, there's no sense in fighting with her because she's going to ask a million questions. She's going to have intellectual curiosity and want to know. And I don't know the answers. So that means she's got to go and figure out some of these things on her own and make up her own mind. And I respected that highly.
Oh, sure.
About my mother.
Right.
Now, it didn't stop her from saying, all the kids are online getting baptized. Don't you want to get baptized? Mom, they're going to be kicked out before 6 months. And what are you talking about? And they'd be kicked out one at a time, and I just look at her.
Yes.
And so she had to learn to be more open through my older siblings.
I see that. Right.
I'm
So she
grateful.
didn't force you into becoming a Jehovah's Witness, it doesn't sound like.
Yeah, she tried on some levels, but on some other levels, it just was, this one asked too many questions that I don't have the answer to. Then you figure it out and understand that you have to be careful as you walk in this world, not just religions, but with all manner of things and people.
Sure.
And while you think nobody's watching you, and you think you might stick out like a sore thumb, I just thought like I was so corny till nobody was paying any attention to me.
Is that right?
She said, you'd be surprised. You have the whole package. You just don't know it yet. She said, we see it, but you don't see it, and I'm glad you don't.
And this is your mother talking.
That's my mother talking, So she talked to all of her children, and if something was going on with any of her children, everybody got called into the living room to hear what had happened. What happened to Barbara? What was the error?
I see.
And do you all hear this? Now tell your siblings the whole story. And she's like, Mom, I don't want to get into that. She's like, do you want them to repeat your mistake? Do you want them to be in the trouble that you're in now? Then this is you telling them what happened.
Wow.
And what you believed and what you were misled to believe.
And so how is that for you? I mean, you're sitting there listening, learning from your older siblings. What are you thinking?
Eyes as big as two green saucers, you know, just, you hope you don't make those mistakes, but you know that you're coming across your life, your path, your journey.
Right.
And if mistakes happen, forgive yourself. If mistakes happen, try to redirect yourself and get back on track, because I understood. She died when I was 19 years old from brain cancer. I understood the hard way. You know, my brother said, your mother's dead, you're on your own. 2 weeks after the funeral.
Wow.
So guess what? That's when I was like, okay, here we go.
Yes.
And so it's very humbling. I feel for people. I just feel for people. I feel for animals. I'm an empath. And sometimes I'm too tough for my own liking. But that's just the way that I am. So I accept the good, the bad, and the uncool. Yeah.
So on your way to from high school, and by the way, I understand you sang a song at graduation.
Yeah, it was
Sending the Clowns?
It was Sending the Clowns, and we still, to this day, I can't understand. The music teacher just liked that song.
Not like you chose it, is that what you mean?
Nothing to do with that song. And then later on, discovered Sarah Vaughan's version of it. And so every so often, when they did the stamp unveiling for Sarah Vaughan, they called me home to participate in the music for that.
Oh, nice.
Which was a flippin' honor. And I had to stop worrying about these people coming to listen to see if I sound like Sarah Vaughan, because I don't sound anything like that huge instrument.
Yes.
But I was grateful to be able to do that. And so the graduation was this big ruckus. It was a young lady who had been singing all along, and they wanted her to sing. And then here's Antoinette, who's just starting to be known to sing. And so they had us sing at the morning award ceremony.
Right.
But for the graduation, there was no soloist, so that they would stop the debate that was happening in the school. You know, it was always a debate somewhere, even on the cruises. You know, it used to crack me up sometimes. I'm like, okay, well, that's the energy. People need something to debate about, which is right now, too. Only we better open up our mouths and stop debating and get back to getting this country where it ought to be. But we digress.
Yeah. Yes. So getting back, you graduate high school, you go to college at Seton Hall
University, absolutely.
Now, you got there on a Martin Luther King Jr. scholarship, I understand.
Full academic.
The
first year I paid for myself out of a bank loan.
Okay.
And then I heard about the scholarship in my freshman year and applied for it.
Okay.
And they gave me the scholarship. They have, to this day, there are 10 Martin Luther King scholars on campus at Seton Hall.
Okay.
However, the, I guess, twist is that they still want you to apply for financial aid. They still want your family to apply for financial aid. And my father said, well, if it's a full-time scholarship, they shouldn't need my money. Why they want to get in my business? And so I kept slipping around the bursar's office until my senior year, and I could not finish because I had all of these stacks of, money due. But it was a full scholarship. It should not have been that way. So your mother's dead. You got this drama going on as far as he's not going to help with this. And so I came out of Seton Hall University and started to work as a secretary for a law firm. And, somehow or another, we still continue to get the opportunity to have victories. And so no matter what has happened, my life has still been, okay, this fell, but here's what's the bounce back? The harder as I tell all my mentees, and some of them record this on their records, the harder the ball bounces, the higher the rise.
Right.
So I'm clear that I've had some real guffaws, if you're dealing with being a jazz artist and how they expect jazz artists to operate in the world as I-9 independent contractors, etc. A lot of us don't have the skill set to do those things. And so we get in trouble with the IRS, we get in trouble with the this, that, and the other. But as you bounce, you learn from every mistake that you make and every possible thing that you could do to correct your path to get back on track.
So you became a secretary, you're saying? Is that
I became that.
in Jersey, or?
Yeah, in Jersey for a long amazingly interesting attorney that, you know, they would sue him for me tooing me and other people that worked in his office. But I continued to do that. Then I learned typesetting, and I got involved with a company that was a publishing company.
Okay.
And did that for a while. And the guy who owned the company just enjoyed stopping past and talking to me and giving books, etc. And bit by bit, I was in charge of the type company, the little type department. And then he said, you know, I hear from our HR person that you would make a great human resources person. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. He said, well, why not? It would be great money. I'm like, it's a kamikaze job. Like, if you get it right, they're not going to give you the credit. And if you get it wrong, they're going to blame you. So, but bit by bit, I got involved with human resources. He let go of that HR VP. And then eventually I became the HR VP and making probably more money than I would have. I said, listen, I want to go back and finish my degree. He said, please just help me run this business.
And what was the name of that company?
Boardroom Inc. And they did bottom line personal publications, little magazines that looked like watchtowers and awakes.
Okay.
So, you know, my family used to sell those watchtowers and awakes. So I'm like, these look just like watchtowers and awakes. And he's like, yeah, the woman who worked in our home cleaning was a Jehovah's Witness, and she, you know, took me for a tour of their watchtower factory, and he said it only cost me 3 cents to publish these little magazines, and I make like $40 off of a subscription of them. So it was, you know, we just enjoyed having a conversation and business intellectual thinking, and he was also from the great city of Newark. So we had to be careful about our discussions with Newark because he would try to blame the black folks, and I'm like, no, it's your people that would not give us jobs and created. He said, well, let's not get into a family debate about it. I said, okay, but by the same token, I realized that there was something very familiar about him being from Newark. Newark people are very grounded and regular people. Common sense comes with most Newarkers, and a humanity that comes with most. So we could talk about the different issues going on with different personnel things a little more clearly than most people would get with him. So I grew through the company. I stayed there 25 years.
And they were located in Connecticut or Jersey?
We were initially located in Manhattan on 42nd Street in the McGraw-Hill building.
Oh, okay.
And then after just before 9/11, he would gather very smart people in different fields to meet with him at the Four Seasons once a month. And he would pose questions about, you know, well, do you think terrorism is going to happen? And so all roads led to, yes, this is coming our way, and we're getting more threats than they necessarily tell us. So he said, we need to move out of New York.
And this was after 9/11 happened?
This was before 9/11.
This was before 9/11?
5 years before 9/11.
Interesting.
5 years before, I sold my home in East Orange, moved up to Connecticut, and it hadn't happened. And he said, I feel like a fool. Like, it's like I got all of these people to move their homes and move away from their families, and this stuff hasn't happened, and some of you guys are not happy. And I'm like, listen, we all chose. And not even 6 months later, the first 911 happened. Absolutely. So, and then when the next one happened, it was, you know, he wasn't happy that it happened, but he felt like I just did what I thought was the best thing to do for the employees. And so Marty Edelston was pretty amazing as a human being. We had our issues. You'll always have them. But the end of the day and at the beginning of the day, you know, a lot of Me Too stuff happened there too, but here we are. And he really was upset with the fact that I was out singing, you know.
Well, that's what I'm trying to ask now, which is, how do you do that? You're VP of HR. I mean, that's that sounds to me like a pretty big job, and they're paying you obviously a decent
Yeah.
salary.
Yeah.
So how are you able to juggle that full-time job and singing, performing? Because I guess you're doing that at night and on weekends.
And not every night and not every weekend.
Okay.
Bit at a time. It left me with disposable income so that I could take out an ad in a Hot House magazine or take out an ad with somebody who was doing some marketing stuff beyond. And I also understood that I wasn't ready yet. I was still getting over stage fright. I was still learning songs. I mean, Vincent Frazzone would call me and go, "The lady from the Cajun wants you to come and serve for the great Myrna Lake." I feel proud speaking her name. She and her sister were great singers out of Minnesota.
Yes.
And whenever she was going to go away, she had to have a sub. And the owner of the club was like, "Well, bring back Antoinette. And if not her, blah, blah." So I got a chance to sing, but also understand I'm not going to be out here every night because I got a job to go to in the morning.
Okay.
Mondays were big band nights, so I'd go to the Cotton Club and sit in with that big band and then go over to a place called Lucy's and sit in with them. And then I would be foolish enough to go up to St. Nick's Pub where they had no real respect for too many singers or women. And you'd be sitting there till 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, I am going to be asleep at my desk tomorrow. But I understood that you have to get out there. As Etta Jones would say, you got to get off your perch. You can't just sort of use these things. Keep your job, but understand if you don't get that experience,
Right.
that's what we're not hearing is the lack of experience.
But there was something else that I found about you, which is that you seem to be very savvy at marketing yourself.
I was stumbling.
Really?
Yeah.
It didn't appear that way because, like,
Right.
so you would take out an ad,
Right.
right?
Right.
Coming up, paying out of your own pocket,
Right.
but you seem to be very aggressive and savvy about getting the word out about.
That's what
your
pissed people
performance.
off about me, but it was almost like I'm just trial and error. How do I have this thing that I need to do. I
Right.
want to sing, but the club wants you to have people there. And some of the
Of
club
course.
owners were too frugal to take their own ads out or
Okay.
bring their own people in.
Okay.
And so you have to tell people, and then you have to tell somebody who has a greater reach about the matter of connecting with people.
Right.
And so it wasn't savvy. I just would sit down and try to research how can I, where can I, how much is it? And then I started taking out spot ads on WBGO. And at the time, it was like $750 for 10 little spot ads.
Okay.
And so
these were a few seconds, these ads, maybe?
yeah, they're a few seconds, but they were effective.
Okay.
And I talked to the guy who I worked for was best friends with Henny Youngman. And Henny Youngman said, "You're dead in the water without marketing, kid." And so I understood that. And I started doing some things to help Carrie Smith. And it was the same thing. I took out an ad in the New York Times for Carrie Smith when we got her a gig at B.B. King's. Like you have to do those things.
Right.
Because if you don't, fewer people will know. And if the house is empty, they won't have you back.
Right. Right.
So I wasn't savvy. I'm not a marketer. I'm still not a marketer. I just know I need to tell somebody. How do I tell them to the best of my ability without killing myself going out there handing out flyers
Well, that's marketing. When you tell people, that's marketing. You're marketing
Exactly.
yourself that
There you
way
go.
by, telling people you run into. I've got a gig here. I've got a gig here. Is that something that you did as well? I would
I
think
did
so.
everything. It was
Yeah.
ridiculous. I was all over the place. And we come from the legacy of jazz did not believe in self-promotion. And so if you're seen as a self-promoter at that time, because
Okay.
it's changed now.
All right. Okay. Yes.
If you're seen at that, that's like a from the people who don't know how to do the marketing and can't figure it out. And so you go through, you don't understand it's a little bit of a resentment or jealousy.
I see.
But you better just go on out there and try to figure out how to get your name out there. I'm not, I was starting really in my early 30s. Etta Jones and those guys started when they were like 14 and 15 years old.
That's right. So you're coming in older.
You coming
right?
you're coming in, and when people are, oh, you started late. No, I started when it was the Creator's time for me to start, because I needed to make sure that I had food, shelter, pay your rent, keep your lights on, get you a little car so you can run here or there. You know, it wasn't about somebody's giving away anything. You had to go and earn. I still have to go and earn.
Right.
So,
Wow.
yeah.
Okay. So at some point, do you say, you know, the VP of HR no longer wants to be there full time, that I'm going to break away from the corporate gig I have and move to the music full time?
No, not at all. What happened was the company was getting sold.
Okay.
And the top tier was being selected to get packages. And my name was not on the top tier to get a package. And I'm like, okay, this person that you got coming in is going to sell this company and not give anybody a package. They're getting ready to do some other crazy stuff that's happening. So there's a point of where things happen and the envelope gets forced and the universe creates that, okay, well, you're going to get out with a package. You will be laid off. And that sent a shockwave through Connecticut, because here's this black woman who is their vice president of human resources, a top 5 person in the company, and like, wow, what's going on? I had everybody calling, newspapers, the landlord, like, well, are they able to pay the rent? I'm like, they got your money. Well, then what did they do? Hey, listen, I don't want to get into anything. All I know is this is where I have to move along. And there were some promises that were made years prior. You know, when the old man dies, we'll give you $1 million. Well, that was a lie. You know, each person came in one at a time with this, oh, your family, your mishbucha. No, that was, you know, if you don't get stuff in writing.
Yes. And
you understand?
I
Even
know
though Connecticut
well.
is the kind of handshake state, but if you don't get it, then you didn't get it.
Right. Any good lawyer will tell you that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, well, and I remember Bill Etheridge being, you know, a great counsel, and I think you probably heard of what was going on as well. So, no, I wasn't just quitting to, oh, I want to be this great blues and jazz singer. But the universe creates a situation. And so that night, I heard something go, and I realized that was my bed shaking up against the wall. No, we have things where we have to take risks. And so that's what this music is. I love jazz and I love blues because it's about risk. It's about improvisation. How am I going to bounce back from this?
That's right.
How am I going to turn? How am I going to land? You know, and people's faith in me, everybody's sitting back perched, waiting for some like amazing new big job that I was getting. It was like, no, I'm going to go and try to get a real estate license so I can get away from y'all for 6 weeks and try to figure out what I am going to do next. And then I'm like, no, you're out here. Commit. Commit. And I still go through that, you know.
So you didn't get the real estate license?
I did get the real estate. I was shocked. I passed the test. When I pushed the button and it was green, I'm like, okay. Because the math was just like, okay.
But then after that, that was just to buy some time to kind of
That was buy some time, and then it was just like try and get some gigs. And what I realized is it's hard to call clubs yourself. You need representation. So the representation that I've never had a manager. I've never had an agent. God has been my booking agent and manager. But the one thing is more gig and more work leads to more work. Bigger gigs lead to bigger work.
Sure.
And so I'm still gaining on them, still working. But the one thing that I love about my skill set of human resources is that I give that energy to my community of jazz and blues. I do as much help as I can to talk to, strategize. And the one thing that I did was I came up with now it's called the artist package, but the woman at the time who was the president of BGO called and said, why are you spending all this money on ads? Said, number one, I have to promote my gigs. I can't wait for you guys to give the BGO dun 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 tonight at the Blue Note will be. I can't wait until that time. I need to let people know in advance. I said, but it would be a great thing if you came up with a package that we musicians could afford, that would help the station, and that station could help the musicians.
Oh, so you came up with that idea?
Absolutely. That was over ASAP is what it's called now, but it was called and still is called the Antoinette Montague package.
No kidding.
Period. And so the fun has been over the last, I'll say, from 2010, watching more musicians try to take care of their careers.
And what does the package offer?
$250 for 10 spot ads on WBGO promoting your event or your CD, etc. It is not pay for play because they can't play your CD, but they can announce that it exists and what your website is.
Okay.
And it literally helped more folks who normally would not have any exposure to the masses of people who listen to that station to have that ability to promote their own thing. It would just be another thing up under the rug.
Now, do they also, in terms of promoting it, do they help get people in the seats at concerts as well?
I say and I'm going to sound like a marketer, but it's usually like 10% lift, 10 to 15% more people show up to your gigs as a result of taking out those packages. If nothing but your mother and father and family members listening and saying, I heard you on BGO. That's our station. That's the number one station. There's another big station outside in California. There's some other college stations that do jazz, but 24 hours, 7 days a week. We only got 2 major stations in this country that do that at this point.
And that's BGO, which is 88.3.
88.3.
What's the other one?
Absolutely.
And the other one's in California?
The other one's in California, which plays some great music. When I go to different places and hear the jazz that people happen to be playing, I realize there's so much more. You know, there was a cruise that we were on with Oscar Peterson, and during his interview, someone asked him, Oscar Peterson, now that you've looked over the cotton field and seen the lay of the land, what do you think? He said, I just realized how much more there is that I will never, ever be able to cover. And so if Oscar Peterson felt that, there's so much more inside of the richness of this music. This music will never die. There will always be some saxophone player on a corner somewhere with a hat turned upside down, playing some riffs, playing a little Charlie Parker or whatever. But we know that artist support package literally was invented by me. So I'm really proud of the fact that it's been helpful to as many musicians as it has been.
Well, that's fantastic. Congratulations. I didn't know that you were the creator. It was your idea. That's wonderful.
Trying to figure out a way to help myself among others, because this is something, this thing called culture and art and blues and music is bigger than me. And so I enjoy just flipping around and trying to figure out another way to help myself among others.
Now, I know, there's some history behind this next question I'm going to ask, which is there a reason that jazz musicians don't have managers?
Well, people need to make money. And so if you're not yielding enough to pay a manager, maybe some will take you on because they hear something and believe and want to be a participant of it, and they find themselves into the business and a way into the business, and then they usually will drop that first person that they got with and start looking for bigger folks if they thought they could give some lift.
Okay.
But it's not like you don't want to. It's not, you need the help, but you have to be able to pay.
Well, that's one part. The history that I was speaking to is obviously musicians, perhaps, who are now legends, a lot older than both of us now. There was a history where the managers, were taken advantage of and a little unscrupulous and that sort of thing that was happening. And my understanding is that's why some of the jazz musicians, maybe not your contemporaries, have shied away from hiring managers.
Listen,
is that something that
we're sure that happens?
Okay,
but that's also about the artists not watching their business.
Okay,
you got to watch your business. Oprah and Michael Jackson wrote out their own checks. Why would they be sitting there and making sure they watched the checks go out? Because they understand the nature of most of us is pretty unscrupulous. We all got some wiggly worms up in there. And if you are sort of scraping by and need something, the possibility of you taking more than what is your share exists, especially if somebody trusts you. Trust is a very sacred word. And yes, I'm sure that there have been some rotten managers out there. I've heard about many of them from some of the greats and some of the young greats. Some of the young greats.
Okay.
And some of it is you got to watch. But we don't always have the skill set.
Okay.
So skill set is something that we don't talk about.
Well, that's important. So let's talk about it now. When you say skill set, what are you referring to?
A business acumen to understand how business gets conducted, right? It's almost like if a refrigerator breaks and the guy that comes to fix the refrigerator starts and watches it from where the beginning of the current starts and follows it and then realizes, oh, this is where the breakdown is. And that's where he goes in to do the repair.
Right.
But if you're not sure of how it really starts, and people walk up and say, oh, yeah, I got you this gig, but you got 5 other people that out there trying to get you the same gig. You don't know which one of them did, but here comes this person saying, I got that for you.
Okay.
And I want my percentage of it. And then you pay them, and 2 other people are like, well, I got you that gig. You're almost like Fruit Loop. You're like, well, I don't care, as long as I got the gig.
I see.
You know,
So what's the lesson there?
learn the business.
How does one do that?
It's too much. You've got a whole Bible in your phone of the encyclopedia. You know, listen, I just got introduced from my partner about, you know, ChatGPT and some of these AI things. You can ask ChatGPT, what's the best process for starting a singer's business? It'll go, and I'll take a look and go, yeah. Yeah. So we have a lot of tech help right now.
Okay.
Our business doesn't always run that way. Sometimes it's
You need
sometimes your
human-
business is at a college. Maybe all of the colleges is where you're best to do your performances, and they usually have a lot of money. Clubs sometimes don't really have a lot of money, but if you're scratching after one free gig leads to another free gig, so know that.
Okay.
If you're doing it, and sometimes people are like, well, you know, I get a chance to get exposure. You will get exposure to the point of pneumonia and not really have a career, but you're out singing. So decide, you want this career, you want it to make money. You have to figure out, can I set this price for myself? And will people pay that price? And what is my price?
That's an excellent question. How do you come up with a price as a jazz artist?
You keep going up until people stop paying. And sometimes, you know, you're working for people who have limited resources. And so you try to work with them, especially our people. We want to make sure that we have Black audiences. We want to make sure that we have people who, this is their culture. This is their inheritance. We've given this great art form to the world as its inheritance. We have.
Right.
We've made it rich.
Yeah.
So now we would like to get paid, sir. But that's a challenge because now you got all these colleges that have now got jazz degrees where the kids come out and can't even buy a pizza with 5 of them living in an apartment together.
Right.
So many of them end up going back to school and getting another major where they can make money and they still love the music. So understanding what's the reality check out here in this world.
Right. I think jazz musicians, jazz artists need to hear that because, you know, sometimes you see people up on a stage and you think, you know, it's simple. Somebody's watching, let's say, Diana Krall or a Gladys Knight. You know, they may think, simple.
It's magic. You know, we create the magic, especially the women. We come up on all blinged up, so you can be broke as I don't know what. Blinged out and feeling great about what you do because the music is the magic of a secret and sacred place. And then you have to walk out and be in the real world.
Right. You still got to get paid. You got bills you have to pay.
You got bills you have to pay. And we still have a lot of racism that is in this industry. It is pervasive. And so we have to work and unite together better than we ever have. And if you're not willing to, you know, good luck to you out there by yourself. You can't, no man is an island. No person is an island.
So you're saying even in 2025,
Yeah.
Folks should not be surprised.
2026 too.
Folks should not be surprised that there's racism in the industry.
There's racism in the world. Look at it right now. Look at what's going on in the country. It is just, you know.
So how do you navigate that? This is if music is in your DNA, jazz is in your DNA. How do you navigate that? Because this is what you want to do. How do you navigate the world and the industry if that exists?
The universe brings you things. Believe. Manifest the hell out of everything that you do and understand. Create places and spaces where people will come to hear, open up their hearts, incline their ear, and hear your cry and your song. And prayerfully, you'll lift them up at the end to send them out better than how they came in. So,
but you want to get the audience. You got to get the gig. In other words,
you got to get the gig. No, sometimes you have to create these spaces.
So you have to create the gig. In other words,
there are times you have to do some of this and some of that.
Which means what?
That means some people will call you and ask you to come and do a gig. I do lots of things for the Deltas in the Bronx Alumni Chapter.
Okay.
And they're wonderful. And then there are times when I work for a lot of schools, teaching singers, lighting tiki torches about the matter of this music. And there are those things that are set gigs. And then there are things where people are trying to come up with an idea of how to have an event that is social for their family, for their clubs. I do a lot of funerals. I do a lot of themed funerals. I think that you might have been one for Bill Etheridge's wife for the Prince funeral that we did.
Yes, you sang Prince songs.
We sang Prince songs, but with a jazz swing and sensibility.
Yes, it was very nice.
Everything that I try to do has a sensibility of the blues and jazz inside of it to let people understand the genius of the footprint of this great art form that we created. Is bad to the bone. It's just, I get thrilled even thinking about it. I get full emotionally about how much we have had to suffer in order to just keep this music current and alive. And my jazz and hip-hop mentees or folks that I come across, I tell them, jazz and hip-hop is 55, 56 years old. But your great-great-grandpapa called the blues is 105 years old. Let's all link up and stop being divided and conquered, because that's what marketers came up with us, to separate ourselves from each other and to put as Duke Ellington said, be beyond category. He did not like the term jazz. He felt that it was just a way to put black music and black people's music over in the back corner of the record store. And so perhaps he was not wrong. But the truth is we need to unite and keep the fires burning so that people understand the brilliance and genius of black people in this country. It belongs to us. Out of the blues, we invented country western, jazz, R&B, which is rhythm and blues. I'll ask people, do you know what R&B stands for? No. And that's people my own age.
Okay.
So here we are, pop music. All that stuff has that backbeat. The blues, if you put your hand on your heart, you feel boom, 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 boom. That's the backbeat of the blues. That's why it's so familiar to us, because it beats in every human being. And the voice is the second instrument. And so when we have this backbeat and this voice that can tell a story, sometimes it could be a messed up situation, but then the blues will take it and flip it around and you'll laugh at yourself. So joy and humor in some of the worst situations is what this music has inspired. And so it will continue to help lift this country and this world. Come out and support it when you hear it being performed live. Even if you don't think the person is the most skilled at it, open up your heart and your ears and give a person a break just like you want one.
Well, how do you do that in terms of keeping jazz alive? And the reason I say that or ask that is because, jazz, probably for today's younger generation, they think is the grandparents' music or the great-grandparents' music.
Or they think it's white people's music.
Or that too.
Right.
And so the question becomes is, because there's an older audience that's more appreciative, if you will, of jazz. And that audience is aging out, whether it's the baby boomers and older. But as that audience ages out, the question becomes, how do you get new audiences in?
Young people who have been given the opportunity to perform on stages with the audiences that myself, among many others, have built, it is your turn to do the work of marketing and promoting and lifting this music and bringing your friends and family and your audience.
How do you get them to be interested? Because if
they're performing it already, they're coming out of colleges. So the colleges have to really teach people how to promote this music and this art form while they are young in their careers, and they have to do the work. But we've spoiled our young because we do all the work and the cutting of the meat for them, and they show up at the gig and feel like, oh, wow, these 500 people came out because how great I am. No, somebody did cut your meat for you. So now it's time to chew up and cut up your meat and do the work to build the music and the people who are interested. Also, don't just play what you like. Play sometimes what people like. Play some things that people will enjoy. I'm a lover of audiences.
Okay.
So there's what I love, but when I get thrilled about something, sometimes I'll come up with an idea on the way to a gig. And it really just works the nerve of the band. But that's okay, because I'm like, all right, we got to do, and we're going to swing it. You're like, yeah, we figured we would swing whatever it is. Absolutely.
But you know, what I find interesting, and I love jazz, but what I find interesting is that jazz used to be, was this thing that was hip and cool, and some of the musicians made it so. And nowadays it seems that hip hop is the cool and hip thing. So the question I have is, jazz is competing in some respect, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems to be competing with hip hop, because if you're trying to get audiences to say, jazz is kind of cool again, particularly as your audience is aging out and you're trying to get younger people in, do you think you have to make jazz cool again?
Jazz is always the coolest of the cool. You never will be able to make it cool again because it never stopped being cool. Now, the marketing that has been done by large corporate companies and corporations is what is the guiding light for people who are younger. Every generation has their beat, has their pulse. So as jazz artists, we have to be open to also beating the drum in a way that you may not feel is just a straight ahead, straight eights, straight swing, straight blues sensibility. Sometimes we have to embrace some of these new ways because it's an expression of what's frustrating young people. Some of the heavy, violent boom, 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 boom. That's an angry generation that's disenfranchised and dissatisfied. And sometimes we have to meet that where it is. And we don't necessarily have the marketing money to make the next hit record, right? So,
right.
So if you put some more jazz on some of these other situations, it'll make it something that's more accessible. But we also have to make the music accessible and not just live inside of a genre. But jazz is the coolest of the thing. What has happened is, government agencies don't really want you to listen to something that's going to open up the minds of the masses. Jazz opens up the minds of the masses and makes people think. It makes you stop and listen. It doesn't just happen to permeate the sound waves with aggressiveness, but it makes you stop and, oh, wow, what's the horn saying there? Wow, the singer is there, and they got a call and response going on. Understanding those simple but complex things that you have to stop and sit still and listen. They want us just to be on a treadmill all the time running, and with the music blasting so loud until you don't have time to think. You can drown out what's necessary in the world. So I love this music. It's always more than cool. It is in need of the sexes kind of coming together and not just being so male-dominated. But that's everything in this music industry. It's about the men versus the women, so that we continue to be divided and conquered. Black versus white, so that we continue to be conquered. Let's stop the world from conquering us and unifying a spirit of oneness. And if we can do that, we can maybe start to listen and think and create a better world.
Well, maybe that's why they created duets.
Without a doubt, and the truth be told, duets with an opportunity to be heard and to be talked about and to be discussed. I talk to the young students that I have, and I say, if you listen to this music, when it's time for you to start dating and mate selection, you'll have more to talk about than just some of the obvious things that you'll get down to. You'll find some cultural flavoring, and it's a beautiful flavoring called this blues, this jazz, these stories. And we have to thank Africa, because the blues comes out of the 16th century West Africans. And how we twisted it for this listening experience in this country, it's just magical. It's just, I'm so impressed and crazy about our people in this country. And I want for everybody to love black people. We built this country. We're the architects of this thing. We built culture and music. If you go to Harlem, fashion, flavor, fun, food, fun, culture. Love us, and, stop trying to figure out how to expunge a people that continue to rise again. Stop being so jealous of what we create. And that's why we keep changing so much of the music, because as soon as we create it, here comes other cultures stealing it, perpetrating it, and we're like, let me go and create something else. And then here some folks come again. Let me get rid of that and create something else. Bebop, they were busy just trying to stop some of the Caucasian musicians from coming up to Harlem and stealing licks, etc. So love and encourage the architects. My partner has a great platform called In the Wake TV that's all black platform. No, that's not about being well, we don't have the ability to be racist because we don't own the institutions that create these things. However, it's not about being prejudiced, but it is about how do you continue to lift a culture of people who constantly have somebody stepping on their neck. And that means we all have to help everybody, because mankind's out of Africa. We 99.9 the same genomes. So that means we're all related. We're all related, nobody told you. So that means tell somebody and make sure that we love each other way better than what we're doing right now, so we can stop destroying the country and the world, and use jazz and blues as a platform to help you get there.
Well, that's a nice segue into the break we need to take.
Okay.
So what I want to do is ask the audience to just hang in there with us a little bit longer. If you like and enjoy what you're watching and seeing, please like and subscribe. We'll be back in a minute. Hey folks, welcome back to our episode here with Antoinette Montague. We took a little break, so we're back. I want to get into now this whole thing of you creating your own apprenticeship as you now began to search out mentors and try to find or get some guidance from folks in terms of this business of jazz music.
Yeah, I came across this amazing woman, Carrie Smith.
Now tell us who Carrie Smith was.
Carrie Smith, legendary Black and Blue, Broadway's Black and Blue. Just an incredible blues singer, a powerhouse of a bittersweet sounding contralto with the entertainment savoir-faire of a legend.
Okay.
And I went to see Black and Blue on Broadway. I did not know who she was. Ruth Brown was one of the stars. They had Favorite Nations building, which means there are three women that still had the same top billing.
Okay.
Linda Hopkins, Ruth Brown, and Carrie Smith. Mm-hmm. And as the stage lifted up out of the floor and smoke filled, and they sang this song, I'm a woman. I mean, just crazy stuff. And by the time Carrie got to her part, it sent an electrical shock right through my gut. Oof. It just was super powerful. If you look up Carrie Smith, and soon there will be a documentary about her by Jamara Wakefield, will be the producer of it. Carrie sang all over the world. 6th grade education. Wow. And literally, Carrie made Carrie. Mm-hmm. And everybody who ever got a chance to witness who she was. Example, we were on the QE2, And the only other person, according to the captain, that received what she received was Sammy Davis Jr. The morning after her performance, she came down looking for a friend of hers. And as she came down the stairs for breakfast, over 1,000 people at this breakfast all stood up immediately and gave her a standing ovation.
Wow.
That's the kind of energy that she put out there. And to be a true blues woman, you know, you're not trying to be tough.
Okay.
You're just forced to be because you got so many unscrupulous people or people that just really suck your time up and your energy and your spirit. And so you have to really be careful. And so she learned from the great Bessie Smith and from Ma Rainey and those people. Those were the shoulders that she stood on.
Okay.
And I wanted to learn to sing the blues. And so 3 months after I saw her on Broadway, she was doing a show in East Orange for the city on a little Jazzmobile-looking bus.
Okay.
And she was just sitting there, beautiful, sparkly yellow outfit. And I was already 2 or 3 cups of wine into the evening. And I just walked over and I said, "You must be the singer." And I started walking around her chair, you know. And she just sat there and was looking straight ahead. She said, "Yeah, I'm the singer." And I said, "Well, what do you sing?" She said, "Everything." And I said, "Oh, do you sing the blues?" She said, "I'm an expert at that, but I sing everything else too. Jazz, standards, you name it." I said, "I would love to learn to sing the blues." And she said, "Well, I ain't no singing teacher. So you have to try to figure out how you're going to learn to do it. And the way you have to learn to do it is going out there and seeing as many people and then getting out there and doing it. You can't learn from just watching. You have to get off the perch."
Right, right.
And I didn't realize and put the 2 and 2 together that that was the same woman I had just seen on Broadway.
Oh.
I didn't realize that was the same lady. But my friend who took me there knew that was the same lady and remembered how crazy I was about her.
Right.
So when Carrie got up and started singing again, I'm like, "That's her." She said, "Yes, Antoinette, that's why we're here." "But why didn't you tell me?" She said, "I figured you would put it together at some point." And when she got off stage, I just asked her if I could have her number. And then that Saturday I called her and went down to see her at a place called Trumpets in Montclair.
Oh, sure.
And then we connected a week later. She's like, "Well, I don't know, you might be." I said, "Would you like to come to my house in Connecticut?" Because I just moved from East Orange.
Oh, okay.
And she said, "Well, I don't know, you might be a mass murderer." I said, "Do I look like I'm a mass murderer? And look at how big you are compared to me. Does it look like you wouldn't be able to take me if I was trying to do anything to you?" And she started laughing. She said, "Yeah, well, you are little." And she came to my house that Saturday. Carrie did not go home for a week. She hung out. I went to work. I'd come back. She'd be sitting at the piano thinking of another song. Carrie played the piano for herself.
Wow.
She didn't do it in performance. She said, "I play for my own pleasure and to build my own musicianship. And if you don't get to this piano, you are going to be lost in the sauce. You must get to that piano."
That's what she told you.
That's what she told me. If you don't get to that piano, you can't hear from one note to the next note. She said, "That's an interval. And you don't even know what an interval is." I said, "I sure don't." I knew pretty much of nothing. And I learned. And then she let me into her file cabinet with, she said, "Now sit down and look at these contracts and tell me, does this contract look like a good contract or does this contract look like a good contract? You read them. You're in business, right? So how you in business? You ain't never looked at contracts." And I'd look at the contracts and I'd be like, "This one says in perpetuity." She said, "Now, what kind of a fair statement is that for somebody to be stuck with somebody forever?" She said, "I don't even want to be married no more." "That's in perpetuity. Why would you want to do that?" She said, "But this means for as long as that record lives, even after I'm dead, this guy will own that contract." She said, "Now, that was when I was new and didn't know what I was doing." She said, "But now look at this other one from over here." I said, "That's the one." She said, "There's the Negro contract, and then there's the other contract. Don't ever be suckered into that other contract." So I learned And then I would start calling clubs to see if I could get her booked because I was just that enthusiastic about her and her sound. And I thought the world should really hear this amazing, amazing woman. And so now we're starting to, I have all of her archives, and I've had them since she passed, over 15 years ago. So we're looking at those things.
Okay.
And as I look at them now, and I hadn't looked for quite some time, Jamara and I have been cohabitating and having a family. And so the beauty is she's a techno person and loves what she calls ephemera or all of those historic documents.
Right.
And there's so much, will be months and months of just listening to Carrie in Germany, in France, at the Carnegie Hall. So much great stuff. And as I stand and look at the presentation, impeccable.
Now you're looking at video footage?
Video footage of Carrie.
Wow.
In excellent condition.
That's incredible.
It is more incredible than...
Wow, the world needs to see that because there's nothing like that.
There's nothing like Carrie. She's an original. Etta Jones used to say, Carrie better than Sammy Davis Jr. We love Carrie because of what she gives inside of a burst of power and joy. And so when people see me on stage, that's some of where I get the desire to have that. There is only number one, who the person is. If you try to imitate or mimic somebody, you're just a number two them.
Right.
And you'll still never get it right because you still are you.
Right.
So there are these great costumes that she had, beautiful beaded hair garb, just fabulous gowns. I have several of her gowns in my collection at the house.
Oh. So you were acting sort of as her kind of de facto manager? I mean, you're booking gigs for her.
Yeah, I was doing all that stuff because I just was crazy about her, And so she never really liked the idea of calling me her manager. She initially did, but then when things started rolling, she's like, I've been out here all this daggone time. I'll be damned if I give you the credit for me becoming an overnight success. All my life to become an overnight success.
Right.
So I understood and respected the time that she'd put in. And here I am, clueless, but we're moving the wheel forward.
Right.
And, talking to more people who did know Carrie.
Well, do you think, did she get the credit that she deserved or no?
Listen, here's the truth of the matter. We all want credit and we all want global fame and household nameness. You have to really just be thankful and stay inside of gratitude for whatever it is that you do have. And that's still a lesson for me and everybody else. You will drive yourself crazy trying to be famous, especially now. You got 1,000 TV stations.
Yeah, social media. Forget TV stations.
You got too much stuff. It's too much. It's too much to sift through.
But back then, like we're talking about back then, kind of pre-social media. Do you think that she got? That's why I say the credit, meaning Carrie. Did she get the credit that she deserved? The recognition that she deserved?
For those who know, yeah. For those who don't know, they don't know. So how to inform people, right? We're going back to that marketing stuff.
Yes, absolutely.
There's some things she got written up in the Times. There are things that she got television things.
Okay.
Do I wish it was infinitely more and that she was a household name? That's what I almost hurt myself trying to get for her. And I got a chance to talk to John Levy, who was the manager of Joe Williams, Nancy Wilson, Carmen McRae.
Okay.
And so we got a chance to sit and talk while we were on those cruises. The cruises are great to connect people.
You're talking about the jazz cruise.
The jazz cruises. And he said, you have to remember where Carrie is right now. She's a seasoned performer.
Okay.
She has, she's still in great voice, etc. He said it takes investors. Sometimes when we see a new artist, Samara Joy and some of these other folks, they have had $1 million investors to invest in their careers. But we don't know that. We don't see that.
Right.
We just see all the noise that's being made.
Yes.
And so I wish she had gotten so much more. And some things are what they are. And so I don't want to say in any interview, because somebody, the person underrated. Well, who the heck is rating anybody? Who decides and who desires to be known, but who says they're underrated? And I wonder who's rating. So I am a firm believer in trying to say that this is still one of the world's greatest artists, that more people would be fortunate to get an opportunity to hear the sound so that it can build up your DNA and create some joy.
Well, you speak, so glowingly about her. So what I'm, really excited about now that you mentioned it is a documentary about her, because if there isn't a whole lot on social media about her or Google and that sort of thing, and you're talking about video footage and that sort of thing, those things are priceless.
Absolutely.
So it's not in terms of kind of rating, it's really just putting it out there. This is Carrie Smith. This is who she was, in case you guys didn't know.
Right.
That's
and give yourself a chance to be wowed.
Yes.
And pass the word and enjoy it. And then the next season brings on some more people. But this artist, so still deserving of attention, should be given that.
Yeah.
And who am I to say what should or shouldn't happen? But I do believe that you will experience a great celebration of the soul to see this great, statuesque, beautiful Black woman deliver with such an action-packed punch until it just knocks you out and you just start laughing. We look at some of the footage and just smile and laugh at each other. And I'm so happy that Jamara enjoys the sound and the energy of Carrie until it just underscores, no, I wasn't crazy and just trying to help somebody who was a marginal performer. She's one of the greats.
So what did she teach you in terms of vocalizing or performance? What did she teach you?
I don't even want to start crying about what I learned from her. It's called being your honest who you are. Be yourself more than anything else. And she never practiced around me. She said, nobody wants to live with nobody blowing a saxophone all daggone day or singing just, you drive your people crazy. She said, but I am in my mind thinking and practicing. And when I sit at the piano, I'm matching tune and tone, trying to figure out how to place the voice from not just the back of the throat, but right towards the front and the mask.
And is she coaching you through this? Or?
She was honest from day one. She said, I ain't no singing teacher.
Okay.
So then if you get a chance to, watch and listen, and the day before a big gig, we'd go out to the park and walk, and I wouldn't talk to her, but she would just be breathing in a way that let me understand that she was taking in every bit of oxygen she could from the trees and energy. And, we just would sing and make up operas to Richard Pryor jokes. We'd make Richard Pryor stuff at an opera, Too much fun. We had a great time. And then we had tough times because here I am. I'm doing all the stuff. And, there was a frustration from her sometimes. I'm like, why are you so resentful? You know what I resent? Your youth. I said, but you had your life and your thing. You did what you did out of both legs, you said, She said, yeah, but I still want more. And so what I learned is an artist isn't always finished just because the world says they're too old or they haven't gotten this fame or they haven't gotten whatever it is. If the artist still has a desire and still wants it, it can lead to a level of frustration, annoyance, anger. And so what I learned was work on that. And I work on it as I go through my own maturation I understand that there will be new people born, new talent coming.
But that feels like a person who's alive and wants to be alive. When they talk about "I want more,"
Right.
there's something beautiful about that.
Exceptionally beautiful and courageous about expressing the willingness versus when I first met her, she said, "Oh, I'm finished. You know, I'm retired. I don't want to be bothered with this anymore. If you can get it to go further, good for you. I'll go along with what you come up with.
Okay.
But I'm finished with this." And she would say some other epithets afterwards. You know, she worked with some of the greats, Dick Hyman, Wynton Marsalis, from the time Wynton was a little boy. There's something on YouTube, Butter and Egg Man. But wait till you see the stuff that will be in this presentation.
That sounds exciting.
Of her music. It is thrilling. And I also, you know, really wanted to make sure that I could stand on my own 2 feet as a singer. Because you have to, she said, you're going to have to get from up under my behind and figure out your own thing.
Right.
And the resentment from people who loved Carrie, who really just thought that there was some mistrusting energy about a singer trying to help an older singer.
Oh, resentful of you?
Oh, of course.
Other people? What?
Absolutely. You know, you're just trying to thunder off of her lightning or whatever it was. And it was like, I was trying to do that and so much more, but I also understood I had what I had, and I was in development. And she had what she had inside of mastery.
Right, right.
And so you learn to accept where you are, how you are, and what you can and cannot do. And the best thing that you can do is back to square one, be yourself. Okay. She said, you got a heart as big as this world, you know, and the world will take advantage of it. So sometimes you put yourself out there so people can take advantage of it. But you have to also want the advantage yourself. And so I still learn. Pause. Some folks tell me it's not always about the we, Antoinette, you know. And sometimes it is about the me. Sometimes we have to put the oxygen mask on ourselves.
Wow.
Yeah.
But as you describe it, I mean, Carrie sounds like just an amazing person to have been around.
Humongous. Absolutely. Her mother was one of the musicians for Father Divine's organization. And so, you know, you talk about musician, there's footage of her father singing super baritone Paul Robeson-esque sound. And Carrie got that rich, deep contralto, butter-sweet chocolate sound from the DNA. But it just sounds like the ancestors. You know, I said, if I get to heaven and it's you walking around singing, I'll know I was right. I'll know I was right. Just a creative force. And one of the first early songs Catherine Russell worked with, people that she did backup. One of her first professional gigs was doing backup for Carrie.
Oh, really?
Absolutely. And it happened at the last minute. One woman that was doing background kept going out of tune, and she's like, look, I can't do that anymore. Carlene Russell Ray, who was the wife and musical partner for Louise Russell, who was the band that Louis Armstrong fronted. Oh. That's some legacy and a half. And so she'd have Catherine, and they'd be over in Europe and give Catherine an opportunity to do a little song, etc. I mean, just the history and how many people she touched. She also sang for the not Dance Theater Harlem, Alvin Ailey. Oh. And, you know, 12, 13 times at Carnegie Hall.
Okay, wow.
6th grade education, my behind. She was just what she was. An incredible tour de force. And I learned a lot of what to and what not necessarily to do. But I understand that some of the stuff that I learned not to do can't be helped because the human heart, spirit, and ego wants what it wants. So ego is ego, edging God out. Sometimes you got to keep edging God in, because here comes what rises up inside of the indignation of being treated in a way that is less than what you would desire to have done for yourself. So we're all going through what's the dignity level that I want for myself.
Well, Carrie Smith wasn't the only mentor. You had Etta Jones.
Carrie Smith on a cruise introduced me to Etta Jones, you know.
Etta Jones, Della Griffin, Inez McClendon,
Absolutely.
and Myrna Lake. So what is it that you learned from Etta?
Etta just loved me, man, and I loved Etta. I learned that you can help yourself and somebody else, that you just don't have to just be for yourself. Mm-hmm. And she would tell me things, and it's like, sometimes other people don't want you to do it. They see that you're gaining on it a little bit more and more. Mm-hmm. So just be patient, and if you can still stay inside of loving them, mm-hmm. then you won. But if you break what helped make you, then we lost, because mm-hmm. that's what we do. We get help from people, and then we fall out with them and separate. She said, can you imagine if everybody that helps you along the way can be a part of your team or a part of your people, you know?
So it sounds like you're getting life lessons from, not necessarily vocal coaching lessons. You're getting life lessons from Carrie and Etta.
I got that. We also had some times where, Etta, I would bring pitch, those pitch pipes. Uh-huh. So I had one for her and one for me, and she'd go, honk, 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 honk. She'd say, oh yeah, I like this. Honk, honk. Oh, honk, honk. Oh, she said, yeah, that's it right there. She said, oh, this is cool. So we would talk about her phrasing. Etta taught me more phrasing from the school of Little Jimmy Scott, because that's one of the places where she got influenced.
Oh, really?
Absolutely. Uh-huh. And bending notes, she said, don't learn the song from my recordings initially, because I don't stick to the melody and you'll get in trouble. Figure out where you're going to. She said, Mel Torme. Now, he sticks to the melody pretty good, so learn from Mel Torme and then go mess it up the way you want to mess it up. And so to this day, Mel Torme, Ella, are the first go-tos if I need to put my ear on something. Okay. But also sit down and learn to play the melody on the piano. I'm not a piano player, but I do know how to sit down and give lessons from the piano. And
really? How do you do that without being a piano player?
Because we ain't trying to sing the whole piano chord. We're trying to sing one note at a time that the throat can absolutely give out. And so you're teaching the scales.
Oh, I see.
And then you're teaching the intervals and the C to C sharp, D to D sharp. And then this way is sharps and this way is flat. But tuning your ear and matching the pitch best you can in the center of sound. And then let the soul, release and be free.
Okay. Yeah. Now, what about Inez McClendon?
Inez McClendon was a woman I met when I was at Seton Hall University Upward Bound program, and she taught music, and she was trying to figure out, where are you teaching up here now at Seton Hall? And I did. I taught English and journalism for the Upward Bound program without a degree. I did more teaching without a degree than you could even imagine or believe, because I understood how to explain what the issue was. Or, we're not over Grandma's house, and I draw a picture of the house, and this would be over Grandma's house. We're going to Grandma's house. And it's as simple as that. And it helped to simplify things. And I teach in about maybe 8 or 9 different places to this day. I'm very... the desire to be helpful and to explain what was hard for you to get. And when you get it and you're like, well, why don't they just explain it to me like this and break down all of this sentence diagramming and all this? What is that about?
I see.
People don't learn to diagram a sentence and then go speak correctly. They learn to speak correctly and simplify language. And that's what I like about singing. It simplifies language.
Now, what about Della Griffin?
Della Griffin was the fake sister-in-law of Etta. She introduced Etta to her husband, who lived in D.C. And she's a drummer. But she sounded like Billie Holiday. And Billie Holiday would actually come into the club to listen to Della, called the Blue Book. And so when Etta would go out of town, she would say, I'm leaving to go out of town for 2 weeks, But I told Della to, take your phone calls.
Okay.
And Della teach you while I'm gone.
Oh.
Well, Della was sick of me because me and Etta were too close and it was taking Etta's time from her and she was like not feeling it. But when I started doing club dates, I would bring Della with me. And Della had stopped singing for a while because she had a horrible car accident hit her.
Oh.
Broke up a bunch of bones and everything else. And she had just lost her nerve for getting back on stage, not feeling like she still had it. So I would grab her. And then I started inviting her up on stage. Now, Etta and Della had an act that they would do.
Oh, okay.
And that was snatching the microphone back and forth from each other, Ma, he's making eyes at me, mine. And the next one, he's awful nice to me. And so she's like, snatch the mic from me. And I'm like, you guys can do that. I'm a younger person. It's going to be seen like I'm disrespecting you if I do that. She said, I don't care, just do it anyway. Every time I did it, the audience would get very quiet. I said, I keep telling her it just seems like a disrespect, right? And they're like, right. I said, I'm not doing this anymore. So Della started getting out more and more as a result of me dragging her on my gigs.
Oh, I see.
But at first, she was like not feeling me because I was a lyric soprano. And I had not learned to place the voice like a blues singer does who's singing to people eating chicken and liquor. And at one point, about maybe 3 months before Etta passed, they came into a gig that I was doing, Yvonne's place in Pelham. And so as they came in, a disrespect that old singers would do to young singers is come in, pick up their chair, and turn their back to the chair of the singer.
Oh.
So Della would come in and do that. And I would just ignore her. And then one time she came in, and I was singing hard, trying to ignore her, but trying to do a good job. And then she got up, turned her chair around, and then she started fussing with Etta. You didn't tell me she got this good. Yes, I did. I told you she was improving, and she's trying. And so we became like she became the auntie. And she would get gigs. And she'd have me on her gigs.
Oh, I see.
Okay. And that was a real turning point to be called from the seasoned elder singers to come and participate with them on the stage.
Wow. Well, that must have been interesting, though, turning their back on you. Well, that was
it's a whole mess.
Intimidation?
All of that. Or that I'm here with Etta, I'm not here with this, and then after a while it's like, there you are, and I'm going to call my daughter up, now Antoinette, that's all a part of any sorority or fraternal order has its element of hazing and hassle. And so there is that, there's that in Hollywood, the Hollywood kiss or the ignoring of each other, it doesn't really help anybody, but it's done. And so the psychological games, when you think somebody has something that might go beyond where you are, that's what happens. There's something about human behavior. We're still little kids in the playground.
Yeah. Now, tell me about this International Women in Jazz organization. You're a part of it? You're the president? Where are you?
No, never the president. I only want to be the president or vice president for real money, but I'll be helpful to the president, et cetera. And so the first person that asked me to be vice president was Dottie Anita Taylor, and that was, 20 years ago. And we together created the first jazz festival that IWJ had, because
so what is this organization?
International Women in Jazz was created by a woman by the name of Kobe Narita.
Okay.
And Kobe saw the challenges that women instrumentalists and singers have in a very male-dominated society called jazz. I understood from Norman Simmons what that was about, and so it didn't affect me. Well, Norman's thing was, it was the first time that free black African-American people were able to have a craft, travel the world, be treated like kings and queens, and that the men that got a chance to actually experience this were trying to keep it secret because they knew once it got out, then you got all sorts of people taking over and being on top of your head.
Okay.
And so the desire was, let me protect this. Let me keep this sacred, almost like a fraternal order of musicians.
Okay.
And I still understand that that's what it stems from.
And what kinds of things do they do? I mean, obviously it sounds like it promotes jazz, certainly. Is that part
International
of it?
Women in Jazz, definitely. Yeah. It promotes women instrumentalists and singers. It helps to give them a place to come and jam that is jam friendly, because some of the jams from some of the men are just aggressive and tough to get into, tough to be heard, etc. Unless you walk in and you're known. If I walked into a jam session with Etta, I was going to get up that night.
Right.
If I walked in by myself, I might be sitting there 4 o'clock in the morning. So eventually I stopped going to places. You learn. Be involved with places and spaces that want you. Don't go places that do not. And also create your own space. I think Gail Boyd has something called alternative venues for jazz. And it encourages people to create alternative venues, jazz festivals in churches, etc.
So does the International Women in Jazz organization, do they have a brick and mortar? Is there a place you can go? I mean, how does somebody even find them to participate?
Yeah, they have an online presence, and the brick and mortar used to be St. Peter's Church, where they met once a month, etc. And then COVID happened, and so they don't have that anymore, but they still do annual festivals. They still, during COVID, I got a lot of people involved with Zoom because I was teaching for Marymount College. And that January they shut down and we went on Zoom. So I started calling everybody, get hip to Zoom because that's the way you're only going to be. And so they started doing their jam sessions on Zoom. And it would be just a small amount of people that would show up, but it was still continuing to keep it going. And that's what you want, is to continue the music and the possibilities. Jackie Lennon is now the president. I'm just their advisory board chair, and not as involved as I have been in the past because I'm doing other things. I'm the board chair for WBGO's.
Is this community liaison or something?
Yeah, their community advisory board. So it's only like the length of a year. We're trying to get it extended. They're trying to figure out what they're doing. So my thing is, then let's set the voting of the new slate of people to come in as leadership. But it's been pretty amazing.
What do you do?
You let the community, as the advisory chair, you're listening to what the programming is and feedback from the community.
Okay.
You're listening to ways to involve more of the community. I'll go online and pitch for funds every so often. And and they don't even know they're listening to the blues on some levels, I'd rather drink muddy water. It's the same thing, only you got just a slight flick of the wrist. But anyway, the WBGO Community Advisory Board encourages the community, come in, listen to the station, talk about what's helpful, what political discussions get had by the station, how to be more impactful for the community itself.
Well, that becomes important now because now with this defunding of public spaces, so to speak, how is that? Obviously, that's impacted WBGO.
That's right.
How are you guys addressing that, or how is the station addressing
They just had a fundraiser this past weekend where they made $400,000 that the Community Advisory Board chair used to get from National Public Radio.
Wow.
So great that the NPR gave some of the money in advance. They were very smart in trying to help public radio to get a disbursement before the axe fell.
Okay.
And then, all weekend long, they were just, you can still go and contribute to BGO, leave legacy, scholarships, donate to the station and figure out a way to keep your name going, doing something that you love, something that you enjoy. And so my job is to encourage the community to do exactly that and then more. Get involved. Participate in the community advisory board meetings. They're held online once a quarter. I think we have our next one December the 4th. But every quarter, and you can go on WBGO CAB Community Advisory Board and look at the notes to see what's been discussed, what's the next phase, and while it may seem like not a lot to some, it's important for the community to be aware, especially now, what's happening inside of our public mode of communication.
Right.
Because if we shut down the real newspapers and these radio stations that inform us, a whole lot more can happen that we are unaware of to just sell you back into an enslaved kind of a positioning as the public.
Right. Right. Wow. So you have an album, Pretty Blues. Came out in 2006, I believe.
That's one of 4.
That's one of 4 albums you had. Was that the first one?
That was the first one will never see the light of day. That's the one that's up under the recesses of the bed. But that was the first one, and it was with Mulgrew Miller, Peter Washington, Kenny Washington, Bill Easley.
Yes.
And not too many people were crazy enough to go and get the Dream Team, So I did, and when I got in the studio, I'm like, my God, what have I done?
You had heavy hitters.
Super, super heavy hitters. Yeah. And it was a good CD. Kenny Washington was the producer of it. And then we did the next one, Behind the Smile, which was an original tune that I wrote. And I assembled the same exact band.
So wait, Behind the Smile, that came out when?
Behind the Smile was 2010.
And you wrote that song. All right, so you've got a copywritten song out here in the universe.
Yeah,
that's fantastic.
Absolutely.
And so, we had a couple of weeks ago. We had Lala Cope. She's a songwriter. You may know she wrote some songs for Whitney Houston. And so, songwriting is one of her things. She's also a singer. But it must be. Is it difficult to write a song?
Not for me. I get musicians who will call and say, I got a tune. I want you to put some lyrics to it. And I'll pull over on the side of the highway and in 5 minutes come up with something. All right, so what are you calling the song? And usually the title that the musician comes up is very evident in the melody that they're playing.
What do you mean?
Let's see. Danny called one time, Danny Mixon, and he wrote a theme song for Menton's Club.
Okay.
He was booking it at the time, but he just had the music. Right. He said, I just want to write a song for Menton's. But inside of it, it was da-da-da, da-da-da-da. All right? So I'm like, at Menton's, the Harlem's hub, at Menton's, you'll blah-da-da, at Menton's. And Houston Person actually recorded that song. Now, not with a lyric, but we got a singer to sing the lyrics for the Menton song. I did it, and then I think we had Ganea Green go in and do it. So it was two different versions of it. Wow. But I've had lots of musicians call and say, I got a song I need some lyrics to. And it comes because I hear it, And I also improvise on stage with the lyric. I'm a singer. So while a horn player improvises on his horn, I improvise with lyrics, and we'll talk about whatever is going on in the room, The orange walls with Boston University will spin, da-da-da-da, and MyattJazz. All dream catchers upon the wall, here to catch a dream for all. It's MyattJazz room at MyattJazz. Blah da da.
Look at that.
Da da da. Oh wait, here we go.
What's that? Oh.
Come on through and watch a spell. You will learn jazz very well at MyattJazz, right here for you.
Wow.
Something like that.
Something like that. That
Something
sounds
like
like it.
Right.
Wow, that was excellent.
So it's the fun of it.
Wow.
It's the fun of being a creative and understanding that that's your gift and that you have to still get grounded and figure out a way to keep your lights on, to keep your belly full, to keep, things going for yourself.
Sure.
So jazz artists, blues artists, creatives like yourself, creatives like In the Way, we need philanthropy more than we have ever. So if you appreciate the creative burst, figure out somebody and pour into them, because that will help to encourage the light and joy to keep refracting and reflecting all over, and we can have a better life.
Wow. Well, not to name drop, but you have performed with some of the greats. Red Holloway.
Yeah, that was on a jam session during the cruise, That
Benny
was
Powell.
Benny Powell. BET recorded the Duke Ellington Orchestra at Birdland, and he was part of the orchestra.
Earl May.
Earl May, great bass player, who is one of the sweetest cats on the planet.
Now, Winard Harper.
Winard Harper is my brother, a great drummer, my musical brother, and we have watched Winard. I tell him he should create Harper University, because the likes of Jasmine Horn and so many other people helped to get their start and stand on the shoulders. Even India Owen, the first paid gig I got for her was with International Women in Jazz, and then I sent her to Winard. So, we just funnel artists to each other and, have fun watching them. Sometimes their careers go on beyond us. It's like, turn back around and help those people who helped you to get your first.
Right, surely.
Yeah, don't just walk away with the family leftovers and not realize that we still got other people that we're trying to feed, including ourselves.
And that's what you do, because you have your own group. It's Jazz Woman to the Rescue. What is that?
That's the name of my group is the Antoinette Montague Experience.
Okay.
And I do a lot of civil rights music with a jazz and blues inflection, and great standards and great New Orleans party music, because I love a party.
Okay.
So if you come out to see me and you don't feel like partying, you're going to feel like it, because you're just going to want to be a part of the pulse of what's happening. So, and Jazz Woman to the Rescue is a superhero that I created. Jazz Woman to the Rescue. The first place Jazz Woman's going to stop is to visit the great Ella Fitzgerald. A tisket, a tasket. And then we visit Jazz Woman to the Rescue. The next place Jazz Woman's going to land is to visit the father of scat singing, none other than Louis Armstrong. I see trees of green, red roses too. The next place is the godmother of rock and roll, Sister Rosetta Tharpe. And didn't it rain, children? Didn't it rain? Oh my God. Just as a historic visitation of our greats, for children of all ages to appreciate and understand. And Sister Rosetta Tharpe, I mean, you get people who copied her. I mean, Elvis Presley stole from her. What's my man at way down in Louisiana, now in New Orleans, scoot across the stage with his Chuck Berry.
Chuck Berry.
He stole from her. Even her movements, because she was the first person that played a Fender guitar and would scoot across the leg, stage with her foot out. And then here he comes. He squat down a little bit lower. But so Jazz Woman to the Rescue. At the Charlie Parker Festival, we did a segment visiting Charlie Parker, where the horn player, played Scrapple from the Apple and a couple of other things that Charlie Parker did. So it's
so you're giving the audience that's the experience.
It's
you're giving
education.
It's education.
Edutainment. And that's Jazz Woman to the Rescue. But the Antoinette Montague Experience is just the feeling of all of the music that we deal with
Sure.
during that 90-minute or 50-minute segment of music to just encourage the souls of ourselves, among others.
Now, speaking of rescue, you had this home makeover with George to the rescue.
George to the rescue.
So how did I understand the Jazz Foundation sponsored that or got you guys connected?
They got us connected. They didn't sponsor it, but one of the women there happened to know a guy who was familiar with George to the Rescue.
Now, what is George, for those who don't know?
George to the Rescue is on NBC in the morning. It's a home renovation show that selects people who need help and could use some rescuing. And I sold my home in Fairfield, Connecticut, moved back home to Newark into an 1893 sort of brick row house that needed a lot of love. And I used to babysit in this house. And they said, well, a friend of mine knows somebody who knows this guy, George to the Rescue, that could help you with your house. First, they would tell me, you need to sell that house. And I'm like, you need to mind your business. You got a house? You're not the only person that can have a house. I can have one too, And I said, okay, well, I was telling somebody about your house, and they were talking about this show. And we said, George to the Rescue and then Jazz Woman to the Rescue, and maybe you guys could get together. And so it literally took 2 years before it actually happened. When they told me about it, I don't get excited about anything when somebody tells me about stuff. You hope it, you manifest it, but if you get excited, you'll be disappointed every other day with something somebody tells you, a gig that's coming, or I put your name forward to whatever. So you just look, no expectation, no disappointment. God, please let this happen. And let it go. So they sent one of their producers to the house. And we hit it off well, and he had his cell phone, and he was just kind of like interviewing me, just like what we're doing now. And he said, okay. Well, as soon as he showed it to George, they had about 5 or 6 other people who were vying for a reno. And George said, I knew as soon as I saw it was you. I deal with lupus. And so the lupus also eats up my blood platelets. So
you deal with lupus.
I have lupus, and I try not to even say I have it because I'm trying to rebuke that sucker.
I gotcha.
Yeah, I'm too nosy to die. I want to hang out. I want to hang out and see what's happening next for me and everybody else. But so he said as soon as I saw it. So the lupus eats the blood platelets and causes ATP, autoimmune thrombocytopenia, where I could bleed out to death. And it almost happened twice. So, you got to pace yourself in life.
Yes.
And so when he saw that I had lupus, his mother deals with lupus. And he says most of the time she can't do anything. She's just no energy, just going through her. He said, and when I saw that it was you, and I saw your energy, and I went online and saw some of the shows that you did, he said, she's the one. I don't want to see anybody else right now for this next episode.
Oh, wow.
They must have interviewed me at least 23 or so hours for just the story.
Got it.
And then another 19 hours with the guy who was the architect, James Stanley. This man is bad. Man, he took that thing. He said, well, what do you want your bedroom to be like? I'm like, I don't know. Don't make it look like bed, a little house on the prairie or anything. Like, make it like it's for the Queen of England. He said, for the Queen of England. I said, yeah. He's like, well, well, what's that like? I'm like, I don't know. He said, well, what do you like? Expensive 5-star hotel. Oh, really? Like what? I said, you don't think I know about high five? What are you trying to say? The Sofitel, all of these other places that I've had an opportunity to, the Meridian Hotel in Paris, France, gorgeous places. When I come home, I just want to feel like I'm at a hotel. I love hotels. I think we all do. We may not always get a chance to spend the time there.
Right.
Well, they blew my mind from when I came in and looked at the living room. You can actually see it. It's episode 15, A Jazz Lover's Renovation.
Oh, yes.
What did you think?
It was wonderful. I mean, obviously the before and after shots. I mean, and the bathroom. Oh, man. It's out of sight.
it's incredible, you know. And even while they were videoing me, I got right in the tub with my clothes on.
I saw you.
They had the one of those Today Show with Al Roker. I think that's the Today Show. That was his favorite part. He said, my favorite part was when you got right in the tub. He said, I'd have done the same thing. I said, I bet you would have.
Right.
You know, we just never know how blessings are coming. You know.
That's right.
So you're there and things are derailing. The day before they came, the roof started leaking. Ooh. The toilet was backed up, and I had just gotten those things like remediated 4 months before.
Oh no!
And so I said, "Look, this is going on. Maybe you guys won't want to do it." They said, "Well, let's get there and see what's happening." When I pulled away from that house, I said, "Run and don't look back." And then 3 weeks later, it took them 3 weeks to do an amazing mural of my life in music.
That mural right in the living room is gorgeous.
They redid that. When they opened the door to the living room, I screamed so loud. I screamed, "Oh my God!" so loud to the back of my jaw hurt, and we had to shoot it over because it made the sound. I blew the sound out, and then the closet where I have Carrie's things. And some other really amazing historic pieces that are just incredible. The bedroom, the energy of the whole place lifted my spirit. It was more spiritual than just a makeover. Right. Because they did a super excellent job.
Yeah, you can tell.
Absolutely. So they on the 17th of, they soon will be that episode is up for a daytime Emmy. The whole show, that whole season is up for the daytime Emmy, but that was the episode they submitted to get the Emmy nomination. And I'm a lead character in that, so as far as I'm concerned, me too.
Yeah.
That's right.
Well, speaking of awards, there's a Grammy in your repertoire too.
Grammy nominated as a featured performer on Bobby Sanabria's Vox Humana. Myself and 2 other singers, Janice Siegel, who was with Manhattan Transfer, and Jennifer Jade Ledesma, who is just a polyglot, speaks and sings in 9 different languages.
Wow.
And, every time we have gotten together to do any of the performances with that great big Latin band, has been just a real treat and a joy. Bobby is on Saturdays on WBGO, I think at 4 o'clock, that he does his show, the Latin jazz show that he does.
Right.
And it's, it's just a blessing to work with others. I love singing with my own group. I front about maybe 7 other bands. The Band of Bones, which is 9 trombones, piano, bass, and drum. Gorgeous, lush, gorgeous sound.
Where can somebody see you perform in the upcoming days or weeks?
If you go to my website,
which is
AntoinetteMontague.com, and
spell that so everybody's got it.
ANTOINETTE Montague MONTAGUE.com. And I'm also on social media, Instagram, Facebook, and sometimes now that I've learned about this ChatGPT, I should be their spokesperson. I should because I have a good time, I'll get on there and start creating my own little flyers. And now I'm just a menace to society because I create little thank you notes after the gigs to people like, wow, how'd you do that so fast? Right in the car, you do create thank you note for blah, blah, blah with red, blue, green, and blue. And next thing you got this beautiful thing. And somebody's like, wow. People feel good with a thank you.
Yes.
We have lost some of our graciousness that we should instantaneously thank our families. Children, thank your parents. Thank your spouses. Thank your family. Thank your neighbors. Encourage each other right now. Do not let what's happening in the world stop you from the spirit of gratitude that gives us all latitude. And so I'm just really trying to bathe myself and be mindful of all of the things. And I really want to thank you for having me on this MyattJazz show. I'm so, wherever you are, just stand up and give her a round of applause because it takes a lot to try to lift people and try to help jazz people. And so I want to thank you for helping our people. You are needed in this world, and you are highly appreciated. And I'm very proud of you and proud of being here in this moment. We had chicken and fish, beverages, everything. It's been a beautiful party here with the family.
Well,
thanking all of your team and Bill Etheridge and everybody, because it's not just one person doing it. It takes a team, right?
Oh, it always takes a team. It always takes a team. So I want to thank you for those remarks. It's just very gracious of you. But I have one final question.
Okay.
How would you like to be remembered?
That she did what seemed effortlessly because she loved it so much. Some people say, oh, you work so hard. Yeah, but because I'm in love with it, because I'm in love with our culture, because I am in love with people, and I am especially in love with Black people and what we have created and what we deserved recognition and love for. I just always want to bathe in that and just sprinkle the water of it around. I want to be remembered for somebody who had no problem with asking for resources to fuel the arts and jazz, and had no problem with lighting tiki torches in about 7 or 8 of the programs that I teach for Newark School of the Arts. I'm always begging for money for them. Jazz Power Initiative, Jazz Mobile, if it were not for Billy Taylor and currently Robin Bell Stevens, keeping live music there for the public to get their souls infused, what would we do? The landscape of Harlem would be very different. And so I just want to be remembered that I tried to take care of myself among others. And I have Jazz Woman to the Rescue Foundation. Though it's not officially a government thing, I still do the work of encouraging people to give away instruments that you're not using, that you've stockpiled away somewhere. Give it to a child or even an adult who's been, laid off or whatever. Give it to somebody who will use it and give it another life. And if they stop giving it a life, you pass it on. Let's keep music and art forever brilliantly lit, because we deserve to have a colorful life, right?
I agree with that.
Right.
Well, listen, folks, thank you very much for watching this episode of MyattJazz with Antoinette Montague. I hope you enjoyed the show. I hope you will continue to like and subscribe. We want to thank Antoinette for taking time out of her busy schedule and driving all the way out here to be with us this afternoon. I'm glad she enjoyed the food. And so
the fellowship was even more outstanding. Can they contribute to this show? Is there a donate here or contribute button?
No, the terrific way to support this show is like and subscribe.
Wow.
That's just the best way to support this show. So if you tell a friend, that person tells a friend, that's how it can be done. So I want to thank you folks for being with us today. I hope you enjoyed the show. We'll see you next time. Thanks, everybody.